MultimediaJay Radio's coverage of the State of the Channel discussion for 2014 begins in 3, 2, 1. A heck with it now.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Whenever you happen to be listening to this, my name is Jay, also known as MultimediaJay, and welcome to the State of the Channel discussion for 2014. Yeah, I know, right? Better late than never if I had to pick a theme. I usually do these things in January, but as we know, those of you who've been following what's been going on in this channel this year, well, as you will know, last January was a total mess. Last January, I was still in the never-ending temp nonsense that had been dragging me down for quite literally years, as the job mess continued to be a mess for me. And now it's just a little bit less of a mess. It's still a mess in some way, shape, or form, but at least it's not a temp mess, but it's still a job mess. But that's another discussion entirely. We also had the polar vortex winter still going on, so abnormally cold winter even for New England, and a bit of a mess with our weather as well, and other assorted stuff like that. This time around, though, I have learned a few things about these State of the Channel things, and I've decided that, much like the 2012 one, this is going to be a one-and-done thing. Last year's State of the Channel for 2013 it turned into a mini-series, actually. It wound up with its own playlist, because I had one segment for each major show. That will not happen again, and I can understand why not a lot of people watch that stuff, because who wants to hear me navel gaze this channel for 6-7 videos and over an hour or something like that? I think people wouldn't mind talking or listening to this kind of stuff for over an hour versus 6-7 videos that they have to actually click through. People tend to be like that sometimes. They don't like expending effort when they don't need to. And it's not being lazy or anything, it's just being efficient with what it is that you do. Anyways, our discussion in this State of the Channel for 2014 will go over the year in review. I'll go over some new stuff for the rest of 2014, heading towards 2015, that banner year for Back to the Future fans. Where's my hoverboard? And the current state of everything on this channel and related pages, such as Dailymotion, the blog, things along those lines. Wait, I said the B word, so let's plug the darn thing. MultimediaJay.wordpress.com. Although, I haven't really been posting a lot lately. That's one of the many things I need to address between now and the end of the year. By the way, if you happen to hear any rumblings in the background that sound like someone playing with a motorcycle or something like that, that is courtesy of the hillbillies out here messing around with four-wheelers and ride-on lawnmowers, including modding them. If you remember that, I believe it was the Waterboy that had that scene, that Adam Sandler movie, where somebody hops on a ride-on lawnmower and it does a wheelie and zips away. I think there might be some folks out here, some rednecks and hillbillies, that are actually trying to make that happen in real life. So if you hear any rumbling, that's what's going on. I'm not going to go tell them to quiet down, because this is the best weather that we've had in days. So if people are out playing with their toys in this beautiful weather this evening, it's supposed to get even better tomorrow, but if people are out playing with their toys, can you blame them? I mean, especially when all the kids that just went back to school have been sitting in sweltering classrooms at the beginning of the school year because of this little flip-flop in weather and things along those lines. Alright, so we're going to go over the year in review, new stuff for the remainder of 2014 heading towards 2015, and the current state of everything on this channel. Let's get straight to work here. For 2013 and 2014 so far, what we've been looking at as far as everything is concerned, it's been a time of change and uncertainty. I've already mentioned the mess that I've gone through with the job mess and the polar vortex winter and things along those lines. As far as the analytics are concerned, the analytics and subscriber numbers have been good, especially considering that YouTube has been trying to clean house lately by instituting algorithms that delete subscriptions from banned or blocked or closed accounts or something along those lines. Well, blocked account, that's always been the case, but YouTube has been trying to make the subscriber number mean something, but unfortunately their measures come up a little short, because while they may address suspended accounts or closed accounts in terms of how they affect subscriber numbers and and stuff like that, they still have to deal with some of the issues with trolls, and they still have to deal with issues with non-human channels, and they actually seem to be siding with some of the non-human channels, like I mentioned, bots and aggregators and stuff like that. And for those of you who think that that's just my excuse for low video activity, let me give you a quick example here. I had an aggregator bot like one of my blog entries. I got a notification from WordPress a couple of days ago. There was some kind of linking going on. I checked and looked, and it was one of those generated websites where they pretend to be a search engine. If you search for something, I mean, no intelligent human being is going to still be liking a rant about not being able to log into Guild Wars 2 years ago when it first came out. So obviously automaton or whatever, some internet bot or something like that. For those of you who think that that stuff doesn't happen on YouTube, it's not supposed to happen on YouTube, but you know how that goes. Oftentimes technology fights against anti-technology in their never-ending arms race and stuff like that. So YouTube's trying to clean house, but I think the results are eventually going to be mixed on YouTube's end. As far as views go, what views I still manage to get these days, and even the engagement stuff that YouTube supposedly likes these days, the majority of activity still, the majority of folks clicking over to my channel is still happening on traditional computers. Mobile phones are around 25%-ish, but it's nice to see that nerds with maybe setups like mine with a computer going to a TV or something like that are still the big majority of folks who give a darn about what I'm doing on here. As much as there's been all these YouTube apps on all these devices out there recently, it hasn't panned out in the numbers. I really don't think that that YouTube's really barking up the wrong tree, but that's another discussion entirely. So nice that there's apps for everything, but those apps still have not replaced traditional computers in terms of where the traffic is coming from. Now, YouTube, as we know, continues to introduce their own unique challenges to these issues. The website remains as messed up as it ever has been between the copyright issues, the cheaters, and the stuff that people have basically been complaining about since 2006, and even things that I've been complaining, or 2005 even, and things that I've been complaining about, I even brought up in the last State of the Channel here. So, for example, YouTube has changed their focus to engagement. They want to clean house, and they want numbers to mean something. But instead of views and stuff, because of things like center framing and stuff like that, they now care about things like engagement. How long are people watching whatever it is that they watch? Now, I consider that an unreliable metric at best for numerous reasons, and that probably deserves its own discussion later on, its own unique discussion, I should say, separate from this thing, and we will go over that eventually. But I don't think engagement and retention is the do-all, be-all, end-all of what YouTube should be judging. I think traditional views and activity should still count for something, even though YouTube is trying to lower people's views by design nowadays because they're looking more for engagement, less clicking around, and more watching. The problem with the changes they've been making lately is that the way things work nowadays, especially with some of the damage they've done to their own community through the removal of certain features like video responses nearly a year ago to this day, the problem is the way YouTube works nowadays is if your channel isn't being explicitly promoted, it's being explicitly buried. There is no middle ground. If you're not among the elite on YouTube, or you're in some multi-channel network that promotes its members or something like that, you are explicitly buried. And it's sad to see things get this way. It's sad to see so-called user-generated content people as some distant third tier behind all the commercial crap. But, well, not all of it's crap, but, I mean, it's just, YouTube became what it is because it was an alternative to what we see on traditional broadcast media, and now they are playing so much out of the traditional broadcast media playbook, it is nauseating. It makes me wonder when the Dailymotions and the Vimeos of the world are going to get their act together and take some serious market share away from these folks. Or even Yahoo, with the video stuff I've been hearing about with Yahoo's video experiments these days. Oh, man. There go them hillbillies yet again. Oh, no, this is actually someone who tinkers with cars making the noise now. So, yeah, the folks around here, they've got this four-wheeler they've been trying to keep running for more than 5 seconds, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know how it goes. Anyways, So, the biggest issue, as I've mentioned, okay, so let's get back to accounts here. If your channel isn't being explicitly promoted, it's being explicitly buried. This, of course, causes a lot of people to say, what's the point? You know, if you put the time and effort it takes even to make crappy videos. I mean, even crappy videos on YouTube with low production quality and stuff take effort. I dare say even vlogs take effort to put together, even though they're such a dated thing to so many people these days. If you feel like that your time isn't worth it on YouTube, then why would you stick around? I have seen some channels that I'm subscribed to and used to enjoy stop doing stuff on here, sometimes because of personal issues, other times because of, well, just the way YouTube is. When you bust your butt to make a video and it gets like 50 views, while some no-talent commercial just flying on the coattails of their production team gets all the attention and stuff like that, even when people are complaining about commercial sellouts that are ruining YouTube. Yeah, I can understand why people are quitting over this kind of stuff. So, the best way that I can describe the YouTube community right now is an archipelago. For those of you nerds that just went running to grab your dictionaries because you're not nerdy enough to already know this, I'm going to save you the trouble. Don't go running for your dictionary just yet. Archipelagos are groups of islands. I'm specifically thinking about big groups of disconnected islands that are somewhat far apart. That's really the best way to describe the so-called YouTube community right now. Yeah, I mean, let's think about it. The ways that you could have responded to another YouTuber on YouTube. Which of those ways hasn't been broken over the past couple of years? Video responses were removed, I think, around this time last year. I think we're close to the 1-year anniversary of it. And the blog entry, if you remember the YouTube creator blog post that posted around that time, it said, we're removing video responses and what's coming up is better ways to connect. So where are those better ways to connect, YouTube? Where? Where are those things you were talking about last year? Where? Do you want to have any community whatsoever on this website anymore? Where are those ways to connect? I'm waiting. Yes, I'm getting cynical, but think about it. Video responses are gone, and the justification was that they weren't getting enough clicks. But if you actually took a look at the changes to YouTube over those years, over the time that stuff was going on, video responses required extra clicks to get to. You had to do some extra clicking. And the way the internet works these days is that sometimes your traffic is determined by how much people have to click to get to what they want. It's actually what YouTube is focusing on right now. That's what they want. Engagement. They want less clicking around to get to what you want to watch. But they didn't do that with video responses. And so, not a lot of click-throughs going on. And then when you had video responses that could be like completely off topic, and so somebody be talking about some real serious end of the world politics, da-da-da-da-da, or something like that. And then someone video responds with, look at these cute kittens. Yeah. So, again, where are those ways of connecting? And to add insult to grievous injury for YouTubers that are being explicitly buried instead of explicitly being promoted, there are YouTubers that are trying to circumvent YouTube's systems. I'm doing it, for one thing, with the whole subscriber system, with how the front page breaks from time to time, and I can't see stuff that I want to watch because the website's not displaying it. And then there were some other things that broke, too. A couple days ago, popular videos broke. Supposedly, I didn't have any popular videos for a couple hours until that feature started working again. Some more tinkering that YouTube did that broke something and stuff like that. But I am circumventing the subscription system with some Chrome bookmarks in Google Chrome to watch channels that I want to watch. If the front page breaks, every so often I'll pop open the list. The problem is the list doesn't show me whether there's something new or not, so I have to click through them and check. Anyways. But the biggest and most recent example, and probably the most high-profile example of people circumventing YouTube systems would have to be PewDiePie. Guy hit 30 million subscribers. And what's his thank you to all those people that helped him become the most popular channel on YouTube? He's shutting off YouTube comments on his videos. was all over the news, and I saw the video where he's like, all right, bros, I hope you can understand me making this decision. Knock it off, PewDiePie. I think we all know what exactly is going on here. This guy is so big, he thinks he's invincible. He's got a little bit of Superman complex going on to where he thinks he can just, I just do this and people like me so much, I'll get enough traffic to make YouTube revenue off of so people will go along with this no matter what. I'll just say go to Twitter or something like that. But that should be a big red flag to YouTube when their single biggest YouTuber supposedly is circumventing their own system because he thinks that the YouTube comment system is inadequate. So, yeah, YouTube has added its own challenge to everything these days. They brought their own unique set of challenges to the table and continue to do this kind of stuff, and I'm not impressed with any of it. Neither is anybody else who sees this crap for what it is. And it used to be that we could say that this stuff was growing pains, but now I think there's some other stuff going on, maybe even some nefarious stuff as well, like the removal of video responses. Oh, and by the way, tagging doesn't work either, because we got to keep the reply girls from coming back, so we got to break the tag system, so we can have a situation like Review Tech USA being completely wrong about stuff like cleaning games, or, hey, did anybody notice that Review Tech USA missed by a mile on Google buying out Twitch? Oh yeah, Amazon is gonna buy Twitch now. Gee, I wonder. But could anyone respond? I mean, I've tagged all over the place in my response to his how to clean video games video, and has that ever shown up in the related videos on his? It might when the video is so old that it's irrelevant whether anyone clicks on it or not, but yeah, well, in order to keep the reply girls away, we gotta break that part too. So how can you actually respond to a YouTuber who's off the mark on something? Is that even possible? Like I said, if your channel's not being explicitly promoted, it's being explicitly buried. And the supposed YouTube community is more like an archipelago. Maybe one of these days Google will decide and the YouTube admins will decide to right the ship, which is blatantly off course at this point. So let's stop talking about YouTube and let's talk about this channel and what's coming up and what I want to do for the remainder of 2014 heading towards 2015 besides scream, "Where's my hoverboard?" So first things first, you may have noticed in the Getting Away From It All video that I did in June at the start of the summer that I mentioned executive producer Jay Silvertin. Who is that guy? Is that my real name? Is that, am I slipping? Am I slipping when it comes to internet stuff and things along those lines? No, I am Jay Silvertin. I mentioned earlier that I was tossing around ideas to start using some kind of more real-sounding name for this YouTube stuff, because the days of internet pseudonyms are pretty much done at this point. Doing everything on these sites with internet pseudonyms it seems dated these days. I mean, I see video after video where people are still doing it. They'll make some vlog and like, "Hey everybody, Lemon Lover 2014 here, Apologies if there is someone with that username, but the old internet pseudonyms thing, it is kind of dated these days, especially when you have situations like this where I'm trying to act like, some talk radio guy. So, yeah, hi everybody, welcome to the MultimediaJay show, or something like that. I mentioned retiring the MultimediaJay name earlier and decided against it because, yeah, it still works and stuff like that, and there's a whole internet nerd side to it. But in situations where it would sound better to have a more regular sounding name, I'm going to go by Jay Silvertin. Because silver and tin, metal, I like listening to certain types of metal music. It sounds stupid, but it's going to sound better if I'm, like, pretending to do a game show or something like that. Like, if I'm doing a pastiche of a game show or a late-night TV show. It's the late-night show, and now your host, Jay Silvertin! Yeah, it's going to sound a lot better than the whole internet pseudonym thing, so, yeah. So expect that to pop up from time to time. I don't plan on dropping the MultimediaJay name, but in situations where it would sound better to use a more real-sounding name, so to speak, it sounds kind of cool, actually. So, alright. And while we're talking about new stuff, I suppose now is probably as good a time as any to mention that some of you already know this because you snoop around on the internet like this or something like that, or you saw me say hello to you this way or something like that. I should probably mention that I'm on Twitter, @MultimediaJay, @MultimediaJay. on Twitter. I've actually had the account for quite some time now. I just couldn't figure out what to do with it. I'm tossing around some ideas here and there. Like, for one thing, I would like to do an experiment to see if I can communicate over Twitter with the 150 character limit using normal English without 50 bazillion shortenings of words and stuff like that. That was my original idea for Twitter. I'm also thinking of messing around with quick responses to news stories, retweets, quick 5-second opinions, or something like that. You know, use Twitter like Twitter. So I'm not sure what I want to do with it yet, but I'm experimenting and playing around. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, at MultimediaJay, I've been tweeting some things here and there, some opinion stuff, some text stuff here and there. It's not really a regular thing yet, but it is something that I'm going to experiment with. And the biggest issue and the challenge for getting into Twitter for me is going to be balancing Twitter with my blog, because the two overlap. The only difference between the two is length. So where do I draw the line between quick Twitter response and writing an article about something? Another thing that I'm tossing around is I was kind of rehearsing, so to speak, for talking about retro gaming one day, and I mentioned the phrase next gen back then and thought it had a nice ring to it. I don't know if that could end up as something I could make, or maybe make a podcast or something like that. I've tossed around some ideas, but Next Gen Back Then is a title that I'm going to announce now. I don't know what I'm going to use it for yet, but I am going to use it for something. Maybe a game podcast in the style of Out of Continues, since it has been, how long has it been since the last time I got invited on that show? I'm starting to think Staggered and his folks just have moved on or something. But then again, they record their shows with Google Hangouts and stuff, so I'd have to get some webcam thingy going. And I've had issues with our lovely friends at AT&T here in the woods of Connecticut giving me issues with audio Skype calls. Never mind trying to stream for a Google Hangout on Google Plus. Yeah. Anywho. So I don't know what the deal is with Out of Continues, but I've tossed around the idea of making a podcast called Next Gen Back Then. Similar format with an emphasis on recent gen and retro gaming. So talk about why, the PlayStation 2 is still a viable gaming console or something like that, or talking about some of this retro stuff. I know the retro gaming ruining resellers thing that I've been tossing around has, been something that I've been thinking about doing on this, on something like that, but maybe I could make a podcast out of it. I'm also throwing around the idea of Next Gen Back Then being something that goes along with Play Some Schtuff in terms of gaming videos. Maybe split everything. Play Some Schtuff, as the title might suggest, could be more of an informal Let's Play type thing. And for people that like formal type reviews or opinion pieces on games or something like that, that's when Next Gen Back Then could be something that I could do. Because a lot of the games that I make videos about are older stuff as well. So, Next Gen Back Then. Remember that phrase. I'm announcing it here, calling dibs on it, and I'll probably do something with it. Podcast, gaming videos, both. I don't know. But it's definitely something to explore, because I like how that sounds. And I Googled a bunch of times. Doesn't look like a lot of people use it. Doesn't look like anyone's using it, actually. It sounds cool. Next Gen Back Then, talking about, retro games or something along those lines. Anywho. So that's the new stuff that I'm tossing around for the remainder of 2014 heading towards 2015. Now let's go over the current state of everything with everything that already exists on this channel. First, let's talk about some general things about the channel in general. Nice that the subscribers have gone up, but I'm not impressed with the views lately. I am particularly not impressed with the views since I tried uploading the game hunting starting points mini-series, and yeah, that motorcycle, more motorcycles blowing by. Anyways, I'm not impressed with what happened with the views with game hunting starting points. I basically uploaded a whole mini-series and a giant uploading spree over a weekend, and then took a break from uploading a lot of content on a regular basis to give people time to catch up. Well, the tribe has spoken, the people have spoken. Based on the views from those videos, I will not be doing that anymore. So if I have a lot to upload, I will upload it all. Maybe I'll upload it all at once, but in terms of releasing it, releases will be staggered. People don't like a lot of content at once, apparently, and I know some people complain about staggered content, and I've seen some really extreme examples, like 4 videos recorded at a conference on a game hunting channel literally being split a month apart. So in June, at the beginning of summer, you're watching this video from a conference where the trees still have no leaves on them and there's snow on the ground. That's a little weird. And I've seen the complaints on various YouTube channels, boards, blogs, blah, 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 about staggered content. But apparently, actions speak louder than words. It looks like that's what people want. So if I have a lot of stuff that I'm uploading at once, then yeah, the content will be staggered. People don't like a lot of stuff at once, so I'll spread it out. If it takes a while to catch up, then I'll just keep a backlog going and keep releasing stuff day by day. Or maybe stay ahead or something along those lines. So content's going to be staggered. Playlists and playlist order has been something that's been bugging me lately because some people like to watch like season sets. Like I've been watching the Game Chasers full seasons in chronological order. But people wanting to check the latest stuff in all their favorite series that visit channel pages for that, like me with my circumventing the subscription system on YouTube, we like to see the playlist go in the other direction, starting with the latest stuff first. So the way that the series playlists are going to work is the ongoing ones that are just for the series, is the latest in each series, and uploads are going to continue being in reverse order. Any mini-series year playlists, like, say, Play Some Stuff from 2012 or something like that, or any other smaller playlist will be in chronological order with the oldest first. Anything with numbered episodes in ascending order by episode. So that's the general state of things. And now let's go into some of the series. First, the Wacky World of MultimediaJay, main series on this channel. And I actually like how it's turned out since I switched to this format towards the end of 2013. And first and foremost, let's take care of the elephant in the room here. Yes, I know that Newegg TV is using the exact same music track that I'm using. But check your dates. I was using it first. I mean, when I first started using the geeky sounding tune that I use for WWMJ, Newegg was still doing the do 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 do. They were still so I got it first. But I'm not gonna go nuts about rip off or anything like that because the track actually came from the YouTube audio library. And if you become familiar enough with what's on there, eventually, just like the Kevin MacLeod tracks from Incompetech, you can poke around YouTube and listen to or watch all these shows and series and stuff, and you're like, hey, that track is from Incompetech, or hey, that track is from the YouTube audio library. It's almost like a name that tune mini game while you're watching your YouTube videos. So no, I don't have a problem with Newegg using the same music that I'm using, even though I was using it first. Don't go calling them a ripoff or anything. I like Newegg. Big fan of Newegg. They're a big inspiration for how I would do business if I were running a website that shipped orders and stuff like that. And I have nothing whatsoever against having something in common with them. I can imagine myself working for them later on. If they had anything closer to this neck of the woods, I could imagine myself moving to be closer to where they are to go work for them. So, don't know if anyone from Newegg is going to eventually hear this, but, all right. So, okay. That's my last bullet point. How about we go to the first one? Oh, wait, that was the first one. I know Newegg TV is using the same music track that I'm using, but I was using it first. Okay, let's quit being so immature. I like the new format and the techie overtones to it, as well as the music for it as well. I actually think this works a lot better than the wrongly named MultimediaJay vlog from beforehand. So, much like I renamed my blog to MultimediaJay, A Geek's Perspective, it's great that I have the Wacky World of MultimediaJay. So, it's kind of, that's a good name for the main series, and I like it. It's not really specific, and then again, the show's not really a specific format. It can be all kinds of things, but for the most part, it's going to be over-the-shoulder type stuff. I'm thinking of experimenting with more TV-like elements to make it similar to DIY reality shows. There's enough background music on the YouTube audio library these days, tracks that I don't really want to use as title tracks, but I might throw in some background music or something along those lines. I just don't want to get too into where there's so much production value involved that I can't upload anything because I'm spending too much time editing things. A lot of my formats are designed to allow the content to get uploaded quickly, especially in the cases of time-sensitive stuff, so it doesn't like, hey, you know that thing that was in the news 2 weeks ago? Well, here's my take on it. Yeah, I don't like situations like that. Oh, man. The current intro, the biggest issue I have with the Wacky World of MultimediaJay is that the current intro is still in SD. Blah! How can I call myself a multimedia geek and still have an SD opener? The lettering is in HD, but the footage was shot with my old SD camera. I'm looking to make an HD intro, maybe based off of footage from what I've been uploading since going to 1080p, or 720p actually, but I shoot with a 1080 camera. I just upload in 720 because it's more efficient that way, and I don't want to blow have people blowing through bandwidth to be watching. Whoops, hit the mic. I don't want to be blowing through bandwidth when people are watching this stuff, because if you notice lately, if you have a 1080p monitor, YouTube assumes you want to watch in HD. So even if it's just some vlogger or something like that, you use up the extra bandwidth. Personally, I don't mind 360p. If I know someone's just going to sit in front of the camera and flap their mouth, then I don't want that in HD. I'd rather use especially out here in AT&T country, who is so horrendously behind the times on bandwidth, that on bandwidth caps, they shouldn't have any at all, by the way, but that whole net neutrality thing is still going on at the FCC in Washington. Net neutrality, yeah! Anyways, but with AT&T being worse than Comcast when it comes to bandwidth, and depending on what market you are in, Frontier Communications can't take over the wireline stuff around here soon enough. And they actually hit a roadblock with some of the state regulators. That was in the news, actually, at the beginning of the month. Oh, man. This better not get ruined with red tape. We need AT&T gone, because they don't care about anything that's not wireless. The infrastructure isn't all that great around here. I've actually seen my service deteriorating, unlike in previous years, and I'm not impressed at all with broadband around here. I would love to see a company like Frontier come over here and actually try to improve things, if they even bother, which I have reason to believe they will, based on how they seem to conduct themselves. But we'll see. We'll deal with that bridge when we get to it. Cross it, whatever. All right. So, the current intro is still SD, looking to make an HD intro or change the music to something that sounds more rock-ish, because the YouTube audio library has some nice rock tracks these days, but I like the geeky sounding theme right now, and some people have said they like it too, and I don't mind having something in common with Newegg. Moving on to MultimediaJay Radio, in quotation marks. Yeah. Big announcement. RadioStyle is coming back. As much as this whole radio experiment was an interesting idea, and there is stuff out there these days that isn't terrestrial broadcasting that is called radio, I just can't let the RadioStyle name go. I mean, we're coming up on, I think it's been 5 years since I started messing around with RadioStyle as an alternative to video blogging, and I actually like doing audio type stuff and mixing together audio, making it sound good. But as much as the radio thing was an interesting experiment, RadioStyle is just a name that I can't just go into the dustbin of history on here, so to speak. Plus, RadioStyle is more descriptive. This isn't a radio show. I don't want to confuse people like that. It's just I'm trying to make it sound like radio, hence RadioStyle. So what's got to happen is the current radio series will be blended in with the old RadioStyle playlist, and I'll make some playlists for just radio and pre-radio radio style and stuff like that, and we'll just take it from there. But RadioStyle will come back, and hopefully it turns out to be more fun than this radio thing has been, and I can ditch the quotation marks. Yippity-doo-dah! I intend on having a final sign-off radio segment before the name change, and this State of the Channel discussion is not that final segment. The vlog. A vlog series for off-topic videos and just talking in front of a camera. That's the problem. The main problem I have with the vlogs right now is that they're not vloggy enough. The content is based on the format rather than the content, or the name is based on the format rather than the content. It's based on if I talk in front of a camera too much, what do you do about that? It's supposed to be about not-so-tech related content like weight loss, how I'm doing with the weight loss thing. By the way, just passed the 65-pound mark yesterday. Actually losing a little too fast now, trying to slow things down a bit, because more than 2 pounds a week isn't too healthy. But anyways, that's something I have to resolve. I gotta resolve. The vlogs should be about, on the side type stuff. So the name and the content need to match a little better. I have to reconcile talking to a camera versus off-topic stuff, and I don't like making as more vlogs than audio commentaries. There's some vlogs and even some tech videos that I've been doing lately that would be better served in the audio commentary series. So I need to sort that out. That's really the big issue there. Otherwise, yeah, vlog's pretty decent, but I've tended not to be that big of a vlogger because I've never really considered it as an appropriate amount of fun when it comes to messing around with AV stuff. This audio commentary stuff is more fun than vlogging. Making tech videos is more fun than vlogging. Messing around with a green screen is more fun than vlogging. Vlogging is too simplistic, and I don't like this channel to be primarily about it, although I have had issues where I've slipped and become too much of a vlogger. Same thing with other stuff, too, where I get into it so much that people think it's a regular thing, speaking of when it's not. Speaking of which, on to our next discussion, the Ashens Pastiches, which some people have been wondering what's going on with that. They're on hiatus. I believe I mentioned this earlier, but going paleo and becoming a fan of Aldi has all but killed my sources of material. I haven't been going out of my way to go to a dollar store, and dollar store salt bomb food isn't very healthy, and it won't help me right now with some of the issues I've been having with my health lately. So I don't want to totally stomp into Ashens' territory with too much electronics. Let's just say that the Super Retro Trio making fun of it type video earlier was supposed to be like a grand finale. I am thinking of making a parody of Ashens' channel teaser, but I don't have much material. And for anybody who's into the Ashens Pastiches that might have subscribed because of it, if you want to unsubscribe, go right ahead, because the Ashens Pastiches were never supposed to be a regular thing on this channel. Never. They come and go. I do them in seasons, so to speak. And when I finish whenever I get around to parodying the channel teaser, that's actually going to be the end of season 2, as it were. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, actually. I could get more into technical stuff. There are some cases where I pick up some electronic stuff, and it would make more sense if I did a sofa review of it and stuff like that. But I don't want it to be a regular thing on here. I don't want to be the Ashens answer to the irate gamer or something like that. I don't want to be a knockoff channel or a rip-off channel or anything of that sort. And I don't want to tick off Ashens fans because I'm one myself. As a matter of fact, I've got some videos to watch. Next time I have a marathon session of watching YouTube videos. He's been uploading some zingers lately that I need to play a little catch-up on. So, Ashens Pastiches on hiatus right now. Might come back later on, but they're not a regular thing for me. And they never will be. Likewise with Secondhand Schmecondhand, because I'm not going to blow money going secondhand shopping and retro game shopping, especially with the backlog I've accumulated nowadays, although I am trying to play through some stuff. I've been trying to play through Cruising World on N64. So, Secondhand Schmecondhand currently exists as a multi-series special between the vlogs and the tech series. I was thinking if I don't go with Next Gen back then for a tech podcast or for a gaming podcast of incorporating the audio, some of the stuff I want to talk about with retro gaming ruining rip-off resellers into the audio commentaries. So it's a multi-series special, but I think it probably needs a home. I got to figure out what I'm going to do about that. Problem is the format can change. Some of it's vloggier, some of it's techier, some of it's audio-er something. It's not going to be a regular thing, though, just like the Ashens Pastiches. As far as the legacy series go, like the podcast, the old podcasts and stuff like that, they will remain unless I have YouTube issues with existing videos. Whatever went to Dailymotion went there for a reason, and it's going to stay there. Now, let's talk about the blog, MultimediaJay.wordpress.com, which I have not been doing a very good job of updating, as I'm kind of in a pickle with what to do with it. I've been trying to really find a new focus for the blog, and I think what that focus is going to be is it's going to be for articles. If I want to type a full-length article about it, like I really slammed fit shaming earlier this summer when I was running into a lot of problems with fit shaming. So I wrote a really nasty article about how people shouldn't make fun of fat people trying to lose weight. So what I'm looking to have the blog become is a place for articles, commentary on other YouTubers, a replacement for the old video log feature that used to exist back in YouTube Profiles 1.0, which I have not been doing enough of, and I'm not happy about that, and an alternate way to follow my videos in case the subscription system breaks, which we know sometimes things break here on YouTube from time to time, and there's some people that have feed readers on WordPress and stuff like that want to follow what I do via RSS reader and stuff along those lines. There's people on WordPress that have subscribed to me on WordPress that don't have corresponding accounts on YouTube. So for the folks who just RSS everything and WordPress things and things along those lines, and they RSS blog sites and stuff like that, they can actually follow my videos through those posts. But I got to figure out how I'm going to do. Right now, I'm doing those video posts as catch-up posts, which I don't want to do. I want to have a blog post for every video. It may become just me making a blog post with the video in it and no text whatsoever. Maybe add it later with the edit button if I feel like it, but I need to solve that. So that's the thing. The blog needs a focus, and it needs to be a reliable place to follow my videos. I need a better system. I'm way behind on update posts right now. I'm going to have another set of updates that I'll probably end up posting, and then I'll try and make it more regular as well. Plus, with me messing around on Twitter now in terms of quick responses to stuff in the news, what do I do in terms of quick reaction on Twitter versus an article? And last but certainly not least, something that I'm sure people thought that maybe I was blowing off, Dailymotion. Yes, I still have plans for Dailymotion, even though I've uploaded hardly anything to it except for one Wacky World of MultimediaJay thing that featured Nintendo products. Anyways, play some Schtuff and Next Gen back then. As far as gaming videos go, I'm looking to get back into gaming videos and have them on Dailymotion, but I need better equipment, such as an HD recorder for consoles. My current PVR card that I use for recording console footage is standard def, and it's from the early 2000s. It's 32-bit only in terms of drivers, and only runs in Windows XP. Now, Piano is the last computer I have that officially runs XP. I'm thinking of ditching XP on it when the Windows 9 previews start coming out, or in Windows 9 betas start coming out. I think it might be later this year, early next year, something like that, that stuff starts up. Whenever Windows 9 becomes testable, I'm going to put it on Piano, and anything that's 32-bit only is pretty much going to be retired. As far as the 10-year-old WinFast card goes that I've gotten there goes, it had a good run. That thing is so old that some of the jacks are having issues. It doesn't support any higher than S-Video. So I'm looking for some kind of PVR. Probably not going to go with an internal card anymore. I'm thinking more of a USB type device. If I can get something that doesn't introduce lag or something like that, then I would love to have some kind of recording device if it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. But that would only be for consoles. I actually have two choices for recording PC games. I have a full copy of Fraps, and I also have whatever NVIDIA puts on with bundles with their drivers for my video card. Shadow Play, I think it's called. AMD has something for Radeons nowadays, too. Back when I switched back to NVIDIA cards, AMD was only Twitch. They didn't have, like, offline recording and stuff. It was stream only. So that's been added in, fortunately, so it makes video cards more of a toss-up for me next time I go to buy any video cards, which I don't think is going to be anytime soon. I mean, my GTX 760 has been more than good enough for what I do and the games that I play, and I'm not seeing any artifacts like I did with the last AMD card, which was slowly dying a slow, gruesome death, and I'd get artifacts when I started the machine up. They'd go away eventually, but I think the thing's going to die on me one of these days, but I have a backup ready for whenever that happens. Alright, so gaming videos are going to be a Dailymotion thing for me because they're too much of a dice roll on YouTube these days. There have been shenanigans with Nintendo, as we know, with content ID problems, and there was the Sega scandal a while back where channels got 3 strikes and shut down because of Shining Force footage or something like that. Total Biscuit sounded off about it, but it's disgusting that either Sega of Japan or someone pretending to be Sega of Japan was able to cause so much havoc on YouTube. And that's, again, a problem with YouTube's content ID. Shoot first and ask questions later DMCA policies. And I'm even hearing nowadays about false takedowns regarding some of the journalism issues that have been happening lately, where people sound off about some of the gaming journalists that have been landing in the news lately, and what do you know, their video gets taken down. Yeah, not good. So gaming videos will be more of a Dailymotion thing. There's a couple of gaming channels over on Dailymotion, but that's another thing I have to do with the blog, is post Dailymotion videos there. Gonna be doing some catch-up at some point in the near future. The Classic series. I already know what I want to make classics out of to start that darn thing after bragging about it for so long. I just got to make a darn intro. And the intro's got to be just some quick thing. This is a MultimediaJay classic. And then I do a little blurb explaining the original upload and then get straight into it. Shouldn't be too hard, just have to get around to doing it. That seems to be what's going on with a lot of things that I'm dealing with right now. So that's what's going on with the channel, how the year has been, the new stuff, and the current stuff. So let's conclude this discussion here, as this is getting towards the length of one of my old podcasts. Gee, I wonder. Don't want to cross the hour mark, though. Anyways, In conclusion, all of this YouTube stuff and other stuff, I will continue this hobby as long as I can because I like doing it. It's one of those things that, I don't go around bragging or trying to plug the channel or anything. Everyone who's subscribed on their own. I don't go around plugging my channel all over the place trying to get viewers and subscribers. People come and go as they please, and I just, I do stuff whenever I feel like it because it's fun, and that's really it. Again, if I want to go commercial and try something commercial, I'll make another channel for that because, and it'll follow the SOPs and consist of what I want to make money off of, but it's not going to be on this channel. This is all about fun and relaxing and having a blast doing this kind of stuff. So as long as this remains fun and as long as I can keep doing this stuff, I'll keep doing it because it's fun and stuff. My big concerns right now are about health and money issues as well as the job situation still being uncertain. Some recent things that have come up, mostly 2014 things at this point. But the biggest issue, and this is something that's affecting me across all social media, is when I feel like I'm wasting my time by doing what I'm doing. With how YouTube is getting and how if your channel's not being explicitly promoted, it's being explicitly buried, stuff like that. With that sort of stuff going on, sometimes I feel like I'm wasting my time. I mean, when you watch folks that do lousy at that sometimes flat out get things wrong in their videos, get a huge fan base and a huge following, and then you can't even call them out because the system's so broken you can't respond to other YouTubers on this site anymore. Sometimes I just wonder, why am I even still doing this? That's probably, that whole depression thing is probably going to be the biggest issue for me from this point forward as well, because I do get that feeling sometimes when I watch something get 10 views because, oh no, I made something look too much like a gaming video and people don't like gaming videos, something like that. Usually something stupid. Biggest opportunity though on the flip side is that YouTube's getting it in some ways, shapes, and forms, like the YouTube audio library. There are more resources that are a lot more affordable than some of the stuff I used to mess with. So I'm pretty much done with stock music in terms of purchasing tracks. $50 for a track to maybe get double dip content ID shenanigans just isn't worth it for me anymore. There's enough decent stuff on the YouTube audio library that I might not even need Incompetech anymore. Kevin MacLeod's tracks. I may use them and put a credit in like we're supposed to, or go to a Creative Commons site like Jamendo, but YouTube's catching on. YouTube is catching on to the fact in some way, shapes or forms at least, to the issues where people want to be able to make stuff, but they don't want to, have to constantly get their stuff taken down or muted or monetized by someone else or something along those lines, or even have the right of death, so to speak, passed over to some organization that could screw up, like what happened with Sega and what happened with the third-party rights enforcer companies that go around trolling the Content ID system, not because they want to get people banned, but because they're hired to make money by monetizing content, even if it is kind of shady when they monetize something because, oh, you got a sound recording of the wind in the trees in your video. Well, we have copyright to that because we own a set of sound effects, so, and then you fight for a month, and by the time everything gets overturned, if it gets overturned, it doesn't matter anymore because you've got most of the views you're going to get and they got your money. That classic scam. But anyways, the biggest opportunity is that YouTube is somewhat getting it. Let's just hope they start getting it a little more because their future in terms of being the top video site out there could start getting shaky. I mean, Dailymotion is doing some things here and there to try and become better at what they do, and we may see someone else. We may see another site pop up if a site gets acquired by, say, an organization with deep enough pockets. I really think that the YouTube monopoly could be broken up in terms of online video. Question is, who's going to do that? As long as we don't run into any more situations like what Maker Studios did to Blip. But that's another discussion entirely. Alright, this has been the State of the Channel discussion for 2014. Better late than never. I'll see if I can do the 2015 one earlier in the year and not in September. Yeah, this was dumb. Anyways, I'll try and be a little more timely with the one I do for 2015 if I'm still around. But alright. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for listening, and thanks for stopping by.